There's also the social pressure of getting together with friends, throwing parties, getting together or going out, and just along with everything else, I feel like it is just so exhausting to like do those things. I used to really enjoy hosting parties, but I would get such bad anxiety of making sure everyone had a good time, making sure the food was like on theme with the rest of the decor. I would just work myself into like this frantic, anxious mess, and I would work myself up like a year, a year in advance. Like as soon as I decided I would have a party, I would just go into this like constant think of, that's what I think about nonstop. Like just how are you gonna do it? How are you gonna do it cheaply? What kind of food? And it would just like for months, even like a year, that's all I would think of, like night and day. And it was just like it was so stressful. Um and then yeah, I just did not enjoy it. Even like even if I had a good time, it was just like I would think about everything I could have improved. Did so and so have a good time? Like what could I have like done differently? And it was just like never like a yeah, that was a really great get together. It was always like a what went wrong type of thing that I would feel afterwards. For like going to parties during Thanksgiving and Christmas, I feel like that gives me such bad anxiety, especially Thanksgiving by itself. That's like the single most stressful day of the whole year for me. I had wanted to make a video on that, but didn't get around to that. So sometime I will talk about that experience in particular. But like in general, for autistic people, we want to know like all the details, like who's going to be there, when is it, what time, um, how long, what kind of food are we going to have, what activities are we going to do, what kind of like party games are there going to be, how long do I have to stay, like basically everything, because then like we need to plan for all those things. And so we start like rehearsing conversations in our head. um, we start like thinking of like all the different scenarios that could happen, worst case, best case. um, just it's it's a lot of pressure. And then I feel like at the event itself, it's really hard for me to small talk with people, especially if I don't know the people. If we're at like a friend's house and they invite a whole bunch of different friends groups, and you have to like, oh, how do you know so and so? Oh, well, what do you do for a living? Don't like those kind of conversations, especially since I'm not like super excited about my job. I feel like that's like the icebreaker that people like want to go to. And like, even if you say, yeah, I work in this, they don't pick up on the hint that you don't want to talk about it. And then they just keep asking you questions. And like, you can't avoid it without being like super rude or like sounding rude. Like, you can't just say, I'd really not like to talk about my job. Thanks. Let's pick a different conversation. Like, people don't pick up on that. Even when I do get like excited about going to a party, like usually what happens is I'll get invited, and at first, like since it's so far out, I'm like, oh, this will be fun. I can't wait. And then the day before or the day of, I just get hit with this massive anxiety attack, and I just like don't want to go. Like half the time I usually cancel because I just like the reality of what is coming hits, and I just like I can't do it. I've heard this with people who have um, autism and ADHD that how does it go? It's like your ADHD brain makes out checks that your autism can't cash. So like, and I feel like that I don't know if I have a little bit of ADHD or not, but I feel like this is totally true for me. Like I make plans in advance that I get super excited for spontaneously, and then my autistic side can't handle it, and then I just like end up canceling because I just like am overwhelmed with the uncertainty of what's going to happen. So along with going to like parties with family and friends, I get very overstimulated easy, especially when like there's a lot of people talking, even if they're just like having fun and like laughing and being jovial, it just like really stresses me out. I usually need to go like sit in a corner and be by myself, because I feel like like a panic attack is coming on. Um, and I feel this overwhelming. I get this overwhelming feeling of claustrophobia, being around that many people, especially if the like home that we're in is small with a lot of people in it. I just like feel like I can't breathe and like I'm gonna like I don't know, just it kind of feels like being like a wild animal that's been caged. There's just like this internal struggle of needing to like get free and um, be able to like breathe. And then if you go out for like a get together at like the bar or a restaurant or like a event, that can add like a whole other level of anxiety for people with for for autistic people. Um, there there was one time our town does this SantaCon event every year where everyone in December on this whatever night it is dresses as Santa, and then you all meet up at this particular location and you all sing Christmas carols together. And it's basically just like a bar crawl. Like you get a couple drinks, sing some songs, and then go on to the next spot, and then you just keep going. So I was really excited to go because our friend was coming from out of town, and there was like in our group there were four of us, and we were meeting up with like a bigger group of people. And I was excited for it. It sounded fun. We had never done it before. Like it just seemed really jolly. But as the day progressed, before we had even gone out, I could just feel like this knot of anxiety just like forming in me, and I couldn't brush it off. Um, and that was like, now I know when that happens, like it's probably not a good idea that I go out at all because no matter what I do, it's not going to go away. It's just going to get worse. But I had not picked up on that trait yet at the time because I was like mid 20s. So we all went out. We met downtown with our other friends. Um, but before we had even gotten into the first bar, I was like almost at the verge of a panic attack, because my husband thought it would be, he had like a full beard at the time, and like at the time glitter beards were really popular, so he did a glitter beard and it was pretty fun. But the problem was there were a bunch of drunk adult women out that kept touching him and wanting to touch his beard, and that like gave me such bad anxiety mixed with anger, and it was just like I was just like overstimulated completely because there were like all these people, like hundreds of people just running down the streets that just like made my anxiety worse. And then we went into the first bar and it was just like completely overcrowded, so loud, like I was overstimulated completely. Um, and then we had like the group we were meeting up with, but then there were other two groups of friends there that we hadn't really planned to hang out with, but it was like we were being like pushed and pulled to like see everyone and hang out with. And like usually for me at that point when we get like to the place we're going, I'm so exhausted from working myself up to going that all I want to do is sit in the booth and just like relax and like just kind of like melt away. But I was being like pulled in all these different directions, so I couldn't even like sit down and like find a safe space so that I could deal with the noise and like everything that was going on. I just had like all these people like trying to get my attention, and then it was just like then we stayed there a bit. We went to the next bar, same thing happened, and once we got out of that one, at that point my husband realized that I was not doing okay, and I think I probably looked like I was almost in tears. So he just said, uh, to our friends, he was like, Jess and I are going home. Um, we'll see you guys back at the house whenever you get there. And so he saw that I was struggling and pulled me out of that and just made the decision that we were going to go home, which was great because I needed that. And like as soon as we got to the car, I think I just started bawling because I just like I had held it in for as long as I could, and it just like all just spilled out. Just like the overwhelm, the sensory overstimulation, just like I couldn't deal with it. And so um going out as an autistic person, like that's what can happen if we are not feeling regulated. um and sometimes like that was a buildup for me, like I could feel it coming all day, but sometimes it happens like in an instant where I'm like doing fine, and then all of a sudden I'm just like I'm done. So like parties and like going out is really hard, especially this time of year, because like I was saying, like I feel like there's this pressure to go out and do all these things. um and sometimes like I can't handle it. People also are like super friendly this time of year, more so than other times of the year, where they just want to like give you a hug or like give you extra affection. And I have a very like big personal space bubble where I don't want people in my space, but people want to touch you and hug you and like shake hands, and I don't want to do those things, but people think it's rude when you don't, so I usually suffer through it, hate it. um and that's usually like on arrival to a party, and then you have to do it again when you're leaving because people are affectionate and want to like, show you that they care about you. um when all I want to do is like run out the door as fast as I can. I heard someone say that they in advance will tell people that, don't be offended if I just leave without saying goodbye, when they get overwhelmed and stressed. And I thought that was a brilliant idea. I haven't tried it yet, but I think I'm going to implement that because I think it is a great way to just like allow yourself to just like leave and not say anything. Um, but if you are someone like me who like struggles with how people perceive you as being like rude if you don't say goodbye, I I think this might be the trick. And even in I struggle with not feeling comfortable in places, new places especially, but even like family and friends that I've been there like multiple times, I would just rather be at home in my safe spot. So I struggle with being in new environments. It just puts me on edge, and like I have to like be vigilant of what's going on like all the time. And I can't there's no room that I can escape to and just like close my eyes and breathe for a few minutes to like regain um, some control of how I'm feeling. I feel like I'm like on the main stage all the time when I go visit people, especially family. I feel like family is more stressful than like visiting friends for whatever reason. And I feel like there's like also pressure to spend like Christmas Eve and Christmas with like your, in our case, our extended family, because we consider each other our immediate family. But like going to family's house and seeing all the kids open presents or having like the family parties and stuff, which can be fun, but it's always overstimulating for me and it's really hard. Um, Whereas I would rather just spend both Christmas Eve and Christmas Day at home, just having a chill night, maybe doing a puzzle or watching a Christmas movie, opening stockings and presents whenever we want, just like not having anywhere we have to be at a certain time. Like, because usually by that point I'm brain dead and just want to relax and not do anything. And I feel like there's all that pressure to like be with your family and like spend it with them, which, um, you know, can be really hard. Even if you have a great family, sometimes it's just not what you need as an autistic person. Um, and then like when we do go, it's really sweet. Our families will always offer us to like, oh, we have an extra room, you can stay the night. Um, but for me, I've realized over the years, especially lately, that I really need to be in my own home. I need to have like my own bed, my own sheets and blankets. I need like all my familiar things because home is my absolute safe spot. And that's the spot where I feel like I can completely unmask and be myself. And like I have the things that bring me comfort. But if we were to stay the night at someone's house, like I can't unmask because I still have to get up the next morning and see these people again. Um, and then I also just like not having like my things like pillows and blankets and like the familiarity of my home just makes me dysregulated, so it's really hard for me to stay the night at other people's houses. So I hope this video shed some light on how um, autistic people may perceive the holidays. This was just my personal experience, like everyone's is different. I feel like it was a bit scattered. I wish I had time to release the Thanksgiving video because that one like kind of like I feel like that one would have like made more sense. I feel like this time of year just comes with a lot of expectations on what it's supposed to look like, how you're supposed to spend your time, and with who you're supposed to spend your time, and it's just usually not ideal for autistic people. So I'm really trying to create a more sustainable lifestyle for myself that like puts my needs first instead of trying to cater to everyone else. Um, and I definitely feel a lot less anxiety these last few years that I've been implementing this, um, especially this year. I know we're staying home for like the entire holiday season. We don't have any obligations as far as like parties or events that we have to go to unless we choose to. So it feels really good, like just knowing that I'm not gonna have to like um, prepare how I'm gonna feel, and like I don't have to stress about going anywhere. So that has definitely taken a lot of stress and anxiety off my plate. But yeah, I feel like this year, just take care of yourself, take extra time, cancel plans if you need to, just, look out for yourself because we spend a lot of time caring for other people. And especially this year can like be a lot. So just take care of yourselves, slow down, and just enjoy the season how you want to enjoy it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching it all the way through, and I will see you next week.